and try to make this as entertaining as possible. Excited to talk about student housing today. Have been at Blue Vista for 18 years. I'm the portfolio manager for all of our direct funds, so that's 3 different blind pool discretionary student housing funds and a number of different separate accounts. Blue Vista actually, let's see, here we go. There we go, big one. Blue Vista actually raised the first student housing fund in the US back in the early 2000s, and we've really been sort of at the forefront of the sector as it's grown from sort of a niche sector into something that most institutions are looking to sort of have a place for in their portfolio. I think it's important to start when we talk about student to sort of talk about what it is and compare it to conventional multi. Because from the outside, a student housing property and a conventional multifamily building actually look quite similar, except for maybe the student property is located, near a large university. Typically, it's on private land, and so it sort of operates as a conventional multifamily property would, but there are some pretty material differences. Number one, students rent by the bed rather than by the unit. So you might have a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom unit. Everyone is responsible for their own bedroom, but they're not responsible for effectively the whole unit. They lease typically over the academic year, so most leases go from August 1st to July 31st. So from that perspective, you have some binary lease-up risk as it relates to just all the leases rolling at the same time. And also they're furnished, so that furnishing cost is sort of bundled into the cost of the rent. And if you look at the slide here, probably the other thing that's important is the amenities that are offered. So these are all pictures of properties that we built or that we own. You can see you have significant focus on health and wellness and technologically advanced study rooms, in addition to jumbotrons and pools and other aspects that probably most of us didn't have when we were going to college. Back in the early 2000s, this was an asset class that was sort of niche because there wasn't enough liquidity. And so it's one of only a couple asset classes I could think of that didn't exist before the year 2000. So from like 2000 to 2010, it was primarily a development story. And so that's where the opportunity was. And that's really changed today where, today there's about 1 million purpose-built student housing beds in the US, and that compares to total college enrollment of about 20 million students. But that's about 50,000 beds a year that have been added for the last 20 years. What I think is really interesting about that, though, is if you look at the line chart here at the bottom of the page, what asset class do you know of that could add 50,000 beds a year and still maintain 95% occupancy across the sector? It's pretty amazing. And it's not like there's 50,000 new kids going to school every year, incrementally. It's really